The second semester of American Literature D sculpts our understanding of the way status quo affects justice and identity. The human experiences we encountered through these novels allowed us to recognize how themes from the stories are present in our today's society. The three books we are choosing to discuss during this presentation are Flight, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and The Perks of Being a Wallflower, all of which adequately support the themes presented in American literature.
Since we all read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, a brief synopsis isn't necessary. In Huckleberry Finn, Huck travels down the river, causing him to reach a moral climax, where he comes to the realization that his gut feelings are more morally correct compared to the white Southern values. For instance, in Chapter 31, when Huck decides to rescue Jim from enslavement, he states, "I was trembling because I'd got to decide, forever, betwixt two things, and I knowed it. I studied a minute, sort of holding my breath, and then says to myself, all right then, I'll go to hell." By Huck reaching his moral epiphany, he's opposing the status quo, breaking down social barriers, and using his true identity to help his new friend escape the injustices of society.
Written by Sherman Alexie, Flight is a book surrounded around an adolescent Native American by the name of Zitz. At first, the reader is unaware of his true name, as Zitz makes it perfectly clear that his name is not important. Right off the bat, he shows he has no sense of personal identity or self-worth. Jumping from foster homes and dodging the cops, Zitz meets a boy named Justice. The two team up and collaborate plots to create crime and terror in Seattle. Justice tells Zitz to shoot up a bank, and Zitz complies. After dropping multiple civilians, Zitz is shot in the back of the head. When he wakes up, though, he is not Zitz anymore, but a corrupt FBI agent. These body-hopping experiences occur throughout the novel, where every new body grants a new lesson for Zitz conscious to learn. After the mind-swapping finishes, he returns to his body just before originally shooting up the bank. He then turns himself in and begins living with the new foster family rather than avoiding them, and revealing his true name, Michael. Through his endeavors, he learns the importance of having a personal identity and that justice is not just for the rich or the powerful, but it is an intrinsic aspect of society that everyone is owed.
The Perks of Being a Wallflower opens with a 15-year-old narrator going by the name of Charlie, who just entered high school as a freshman. Charlie is struggling with two traumatic deaths in his life, one being his best friend Michael, who committed suicide, and the other being his Aunt Helen, who was involved in a fatal car accident on Charlie's birthday. Both of these incidents contribute to his detraction and isolation from peers on his first days of high school. But, with the help of his English teacher, who assigns him books that will help encourage Charlie to participate in life, and other friends, Sam and Patrick, Charlie finds himself involved in a multitude of social conundrums. Involved in Sam and Patrick's friend circle, Charlie is exposed to varying degrees of teen sexuality, drug use, intense friendship, and love. As the year progresses, Charlie is forced to mature and provide emotional support when he finally understands that his friends all have insecurities as well. Towards the end of the year, Charlie becomes increasingly anxious due to the impending departure of his friends to college. Then, when Sam and Charlie's emotional connection escalates, Charlie becomes increasingly uncomfortable and realizes he was molested by his aunt at a young age. This moment is an epiphany for Charlie. "I'm not the way I am because of what I dreamt and remembered about my Aunt Helen. That's what I figured out when things got quiet. But even if we don't have the power to choose where we come from, we can still choose where we go from there." That's what Charlie said on page 211. In Charlie's last letter, Charlie decides to stop writing letters after realizing moving on isn't the same as forgetting, and makes a commitment to participate fully in his life. By making this commitment, he is actively improving and setting a personal identity. Also, for Charlie, morals and justice and right and wrong end up becoming intertwined.
So, how do these three pieces relate? Well, it all stems from our overall theme of resisting the status quo through a sense of personal identity. All three novels center around a main character attempting to get by in their life by going through the motions. A paramount piece of personal identity involves going all in on life's depressions and successes. For Charlie, Huck, and Zitz, they each experience an epiphany on their journey to self-actualization. For Charlie, his realization occurred when he found that although he can't choose the path he came from, he can plow himself a new destiny. With Zitz, he experienced the lives of those who came before him. By experiencing the pain, truth, and harsh reality that comes with enforcing stereotypes, Zitz comes to the realization that an eye for an eye just makes the whole world blind. This epiphany allows Zitz to point his moral compass in the right direction. Similarly, Huck was taught as a child to obey the constraints created by Southern white values. But on his journey with Jim, Huck learns over time that bonds of friendship are greater than the bonds of tradition. By tearing down the barriers that the status quo has built, Huck is actively establishing personal identity for himself. Ultimately, these are the same books with different detailed plots, characters, and settings, yet their lessons and themes remain constant.
All in all, these 3 books are paramount in increasing our understanding of the themes presented in our course this semester. Flight, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn all adequately present tales which remind the readers to establish their own personal identity. Although each novel ends with a sense of closure, the amount of time it takes each protagonist to reach their moral epiphany is way too long. By illustrating this change, the authors are attempting to warn their audience of the dangers in cowering to the status quo. These stories matter to us because the way the authors speak encourages us to believe them and fight for personal identity and immoral social justice.